the Republic of Indonesia. Okay, thank you. Honorable representation of Urban Research Plaza of Osaka City University, Professor Shin Nakagawa, along with the ranks. Honorable representation of Universitas Gadjah Mada, Dr. Wening Udasmoro, SSM Hum DEA, along with the ranks. Honorable representation of Institut Seni Indonesia Yogyakarta, Dr. ST Hanggar Budi Prasetya, MSI, along with the ranks. Respectable invited guests, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Let me introduce myself once again. My name is Ening Tias Widowati from UC Yogyakarta. It is such a precious moment for me to be the master of ceremony of the 18th Urban Research Plaza seminar by team Exchange the Information, Idea, and Methodology for Overcoming Current COVID-19 Conditions through Arts and Culture. Such a long theme. Okay, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Before we begin our seminar, allow me to remind you the agendas today. After this opening, we'll have 5 speakers presenting their papers, and then continued with a performance, closing speech, and ended with a photo session. Okay, without any further ado, I would like to welcome the chairperson of the today's session. Please welcome Ibu Adia Arsita, SSMA. Time is yours, Ibu Adia.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mbak Ening Tias Widowati. My name is Adi Arsita. I am from Institut Seni Indonesia, Yogyakarta. And today, I will be your moderator on the second day of the 18 URP 2021. And I would like to send my warmest greetings to all of you, especially to Professor Shin Nakagawa as the representative of this URP, and of course to all the distinguished presenters that today will present their valuable knowledge and experience and also thoughts, and also all the participants, and to all of you, once again, good morning. And today we have 5 presenters, and I would like to read the first, the first presenter is Professor Shin Nakagawa today. And today, excuse me. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it, okay. And is it, sorry, is it quite clear?
It's clear. Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Because I think I get like, what is it, back sound or something? I'm sorry. Okay, so we have 5 presenters today, and the first presenter would be Professor Shin Nakagawa. And on the second day, since yesterday, Professor Nakagawa opened the seminar for the first day, and today he will be presenting the local performing arts under epidemic disaster in Japan. And Professor Shin Nakagawa has been working on his research for several years, and he's been very active in the research, and of course, he is also the professor of this urban research plaza from Osaka City University. And he's been very interested in soundscape and music in Southeast Asia and Europe, and of course, also arts management study. He got his doctoral degree from Osaka University of Arts in 2001, and he got so many awards. And one of it is the Cultural Prize from Kyoto Prefecture, Kyoto Music Prize, Suntory Prize, and many more. Believe me, so many. And he has written so many books as well, including Heian Kyo Oto no Uchu. I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong, Professor Nakagawa.
Correct.
Correct. Thank you so much. Arigatou gozaimasu. And in 2020, he is He is also working on a first novel entitled Sawa Sawa, as well as music composition, Voice from Outside Existence for piano. And ladies and gentlemen, Professor Nakagawa is the founder of the Japanese gamelan group called Margasari in Osaka. And then from this gamelan, it brought him abroad so many times, and now he is mainly involved in socially engaged arts management activities in collaboration with NPO sectors and local government. Well, Professor Shin Nakagawa, without further ado, please present your thoughts and ideas. The 25 minutes will be yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So introduction. So I would like to share my, okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm very glad to hear and have a forum with you. So the purpose of my presentation is to focus on traditional rituals in Japan that have been affected by the spread of the new coronavirus, and to report on the actual impact of the epidemic, and to suggest future rituals. In 2020, last year, most of the rituals were cancelled. I have ever undertaken field research in many places in Japan, but all of them were not done last year. I would like to give you some example. This is Nara Prefecture. Nara location is here, and this is Nara's Bon Dance. This is a dance to invite the spirits of ancestors into the world every August. The purpose of this dance is to comfort the spirits of the ancestors. This dance has a Buddhist background since the 10th century. these are everyday scenes in villages. So this is very peaceful place, but I have researched it for more than 40 years since 1981, but it was the first time that the Bondance had been cancelled. Next, I moved to the northern area of Japan. This is Tiger Dance of Iwate Prefecture. The main industry of this community is fishing. The Tiger Dance is performed to pray for the safety of the fishermen. And this moved back to Kyoto. This is the Gion Festival in Kyoto. The ritual started in 863, about 1,200 years ago, to appease the evil spirits that caused the epidemic. Those rituals were all cancelled due to epidemic. I could not undertake field research any place. So I went to the library and investigate the archive of past newspapers. Past historical facts shows that the Gion Festival was often forced to postpone due to the cholera epidemic. In 1879, 87, and 95, rituals were postponed, and 86 moved up to May due to cholera epidemics. But it is very important, but not cancelled. After that, cholera was under control and the disease did not spread to Japan. And 125 years later, yes, last year, COVID-19 raised. Performing arts in Japan are often performed to pray for the safety of the people or to ward off plague. However, due to COVID-19, it is no longer possible to perform. Normally, when there is an epidemic or dangerous social situation, there should be a performance to drive it away. For your indifference, here is some data on how much rituals are affected in one region, Nara Prefecture. Nara Prefecture in Western Japan is an area with a population of 1.32 million and famous for a long and rich cultural tradition. Of the 80 festivals with performing arts held here in a year, and 31 were cancelled, 31 were simplified, 16 were put on hold, and only 2 were performed as usual. Strictly speaking, the minimum rituals such as prayers and offerings by monks were carried out in a simple manner, but performing arts were avoided. Why were the performing arts avoided? Answer is very simple. The reason is that many people gather to see the performing arts, and as a result, the risk of the spread of infection increases. Prohibition of gatherings. In fact, this has brought to light the problems that performing arts in Japan are currently facing. As I mentioned earlier, the original meaning of performing arts is to ward off calamities, and it is only in times of crisis that it can fulfill its function, and yet it cannot do so. Why is that? Because today, performing arts are not considered as essential part of rituals, but an entertainment part and can be easily omitted. performing arts are considered something that is unnecessary. In recent years, the Japanese government has come to view rituals as a resource for tourism and performing arts as an important medium for supporting the tourism industry. Performing arts as entertainment has become a necessary item for economic growth. Therefore, in times of emergency, entertainment that poses the risk of spreading infection is prohibited. It's a shame that performing arts is entertainment in the first place. However, we cannot simply deny the entertainment of performing arts. The local performing arts are being weakened by the depopulation of the region and the new entertainment provided by the mass media. In order to avoid its disappearance, positioning performing arts as a banner that attracts visitors is an effective way to maintain the lifeline of a fading culture. However, the corona disaster has brought to light the reality of the loss of the original meaning of performing arts. I once had a very unforgettable experience in Indonesia, where I attended a wonderful gamelan music concert in a temple. At the end of performance, many of the audience members left without applause. I wondered why. And when I asked the musician why, he replied that the music was dedicated to the gods and the audience was just there to witness it. They don't play for humans, and that is a basic and everyday feeling of gamelan players. Economic growth is an important theme in our modern society, of course, but by focusing so heavily on it, we have lost the spiritual value of performing arts. Do we really want to live in such a society? I don't want. I am advocating the revival of the sacred and spiritual functions and the power of performing arts and prompt to do performing arts in the COVID-19 context. In Japan, in 2020, last year, family members were not allowed to attend the funeral of a person who died from coronavirus. This is to reduce the risk of infection. The idea here is that the life of the living comes first, and there is no respect for the spirits of the deceased. A culture that disdains the dead and the spiritual is a very flimsy one. There are currently about 7.8 billion people living on the earth. But how many people have ever died in the history of mankind? It is an enormous number compared to those who are alive today. We are surrounded by the spirits of such dead people. Now is the time for me to try to create new performing arts that can coexist with COVID-19. However, the traditional performers are conservative and do not have much of an idea of creating new performing arts. They have a strong sense of preserving the old traditions. This may be different from your Japanese tradition. In Japan, so they have a strong sense of preserving the old traditions. So instead, I planned a collaboration with a contemporary music composer to create a new performing arts. The result was a pentagram for chickens, which we performed with composer Masahiro Miwa last September. This is a performing arts piece to console the spirits of the large number of chickens that were killed due to the bird flu. and it is an expression of spring white powder for killing, which and this piece is also a metaphor for COVID-19. The performance was done without an audience. Audience was needed as a no audience was needed as a performance. This performance was for the spirits. This is not a concert, but a ritual. It was live streamed. Now I can show you the digest video of this performance. This performance takes about 3 hours, but this digest video is only 10 minutes. Please watch the video. I prepare. Okay. About 10 minutes. So, yeah, this piece was awarded as the best performance of last year in Japan under COVID-19 condition situations. So, my idea is
皆
to
さん、こんにちは。皆さん、ピアノ練習してますか？
sorry.
練習っていうのは、反復、繰り返しっていうのがとても大切です。
Sorry. My idea is to create a cultural response to the situation of COVID-19 in this way, through new performing arts or through new rituals. So thank you. Terimakasih. This is my presentation.
Thank you so much, Professor Shin Nakagawa. Well, because we are in a virtual meeting, so there is no clap. So yeah, you can just clap your hands or just give a reaction for clapping. That was a very insightful presentation. And ladies and gentlemen, if you are interested in asking questions regarding the local performing arts in Japan, you can ask later after all the presenters present their papers. And going to the next presenter, we are going to the second presenter, which is who is Ibu Mahirta, PhD. Mahirta was born in Malang, and she is a faculty member of Department of Archaeology, Faculty of Cultural Science, Universitas Gadjah Mada. And she got her doctoral degree in archaeology and paleoanthropology from Australian National University in 2005. And her research interest varies in prehistoric archaeology, conservation, and museum studies. And those have led her to conduct research in many places, such as East Nusa Tenggara, Madura, and Maluku. And her research also got her awards from Universitas Gadjah Mada and Department of Education, Science, and Training. And as well as Professor Shin Nakagawa, she also write so many books, including Arkeologi Pasifik, and then Konservasi Dasar untuk Museum Kecil dan Menengah, which were published in 2018, dan buku saku rangkaian aktivitas pemeliharaan koleksi untuk museum, published in 2019. And she is currently the head of the undergraduate study program of Department of Archaeology, Faculty of Cultural Science, Universitas Gadjah Mada. And this morning, she will be presenting a very interesting topic entitled Best Experience and Impression from the Museum Shops. To Mahirta, PhD, the next 25 minutes is yours.
Thank you, Ibu Adia, for introducing me. I will present my PowerPoint. I will, okay. My presentation entitled Best Experience and Impression from the Museum Shops. This presentation I do because I am very interested how the museum in Yogyakarta now try to develop everything, not only for their exhibition and display, temporary or permanent display, but also from many aspects of the museum. And this aspect, the museum shop, is only developed already by some museum, not all develop very well the museum shop. As one of important element in urban life, museum wants to become a place to offer many experience. If before, people want to visit the museum to just learn the collection, now people has many purpose to come to the museum. Okay, sorry. Sorry. In era when people can learn themselves from electronic resource, like nowadays, still on the spot positive experience and good impression could also be provided by museum, and this opportunity can be obtained also from the museum shop. So museum shop is not only for shopping, but museum shop can have a more important function, like can be a media of promotion, even not for the museum itself, but also for the city and the country. This presentation won't discuss visitor experience from the display or museum exhibition, but discuss some strategies so that the visitor have better experiences and bring home good impression about museum in general from their visit to museum souvenir shop. It is very famous that the museum shop is liked by women than male visitors. Yeah, but if we prepare the museum shop very well, it can enjoyed by many people. Rather than only offer classic souvenirs that sell well, museum staff can make themselves or collaborate with designers to create unique souvenir object, best souvenir object, so that more experience and good impression about museum are shaped. For this kind of souvenir, I am of the opinion that this type of the different type of souvenir doesn't necessarily sell well, but this has special goal. Now I present some of the picture where the best experience and impression in the museums, actually not only from the display, not only from the object of the object that are displayed permanently or during the exhibition in the museum, but also from all the environment, also from the staff, and this also from the museum shop. These are the lobby in a museum UGM, where during the COVID, we just play the performance during our opening ceremony via the internet. So we do not invite people during the performance, but we put in an internet. So, and this is an example how the environment in Museum Ulen Sentalu, one of our friend of Museum UGM, has a very nice, cozy environment. Together, they make a good impression for the museum. This is an example of the museum shop in Manila. I got this picture from my colleague Anggraini. Now I will focus on the museum souvenir. The condition in Yogyakarta. Museum in Yogyakarta, most do not have a special museum shop, especially for small museum. Some have museum souvenir, but placed in the same area with cafe or put in the front office. Many reasons, such as a limited area or still do not have energy to think about the souvenirs or museum shop because still focus on the display room. Yeah. There are many museums in Yogyakarta. If I'm not mistaken, 38 museums in Yogyakarta with different level of I cannot say quality, but different small, middle, or big museum. Usually big museum like Museum Sonobudoyo, Museum Fredberg, and Museum Monjali. They have a special museum shop, but other small museum do not have that advantage. And in the museum that has the museum shop, some has only very limited variety of museum souvenir. Most museums provide classic type of souvenir: T-shirt, mug, tumbler, utensil, and some still sell the object that are mass production. So I said that still not much energy focus on that souvenir. We recognize that in museum shop, it's not only the souvenir itself that can bring good impression for visitor. Other are also need to be attended, like interior design and display of the souvenir. Nice and well-prepared design will make a good impression for the visitor. This is example of how Museum Art Siri in Tawangmangu has a very big area of souvenir shops, well prepared, even equipped with the workshop area. Now I will share my impression on the museum shop in several other museums. For me, I think if I admire the products sold in the museum shop that are developed of the product souvenir, it's very important. If I get the good impression, it's because I admire the type of product. And it's supported by beautiful design of interior of the shop, good service, and also cozy environment in the area of museum shop. And then what the museum souvenir should be? I am of the opinion that the museum souvenir should bring the memory of the visitor visit to the museum. So provide the museum object, museum souvenir that remind visitor to the visit to the museum. It can be the building, it can be the environment, it can be the city, or the most important is the object display or exhibit in the museum during temporary exhibition is important. Yeah, it should be available in the souvenir shop, so that the product can directly remind someone of their visit to the museum. Strategy to develop different type of museum souvenir that I browse from the different museum abroad international can be as follow. The object can be replica of object in museum, like if the museum has Buddhist or Buddha statue, Egyptian god replica, then we can produce this kind as our souvenir shop. Other like book, fiction, and non-fiction, including children book. This children book can be inspired also by the object we have in the museum, or books, serious book, or like cafe table book that are written by the curator, also describe about the museum object that we have in the museum. And this type of souvenir object for the museum is still rarely found in a museum shop in Museum Yogyakarta. Only maybe I only have experience maybe in Museum Sonobudoyo and Fredberg, has a book written by the curator tell about the object kept in the museum. Other type of strategy to develop museum shop is we create daily object with decoration inspired by object is display in the museum, like mug, t-shirt, hat, yeah, and also homeware. This one, the jewelry that inspired the object in the museum, also very rarely found in a museum in Yogyakarta. I found in a museum Ulen Sentalu, there are some jewelry that sell as a museum souvenir, and also special branded product. We can collaborate, co-creation with the designer to produce the product for our museum, and we can sell it as our souvenir. For this, it doesn't necessarily the object that is created is inspired by museum object, but can be anything, but it can be from the branded product. This is an example of terracotta statue in museum in Japan. This object is very potential to develop as a museum souvenir. This actually not small, but quite big, so we can make it as a souvenir shop by miniature the statue. So we reduce the style, or even this is from terracotta, or even we can make it from the gipс, for example, or we can make it from terracotta is okay, but the size is reduced, yeah, so that it cannot confront with the authenticity issue. And this is an example of the museum souvenir from National Museum of Philippines. This is because in the Philippines, they have a lot of variety of pottery, including also the pottery as a burial gift. So this is the small version or replica of the pottery object belong to museum in Philippines. These are example of object that I bought more than 10 years ago in Canberra. This is from Dinosaurs Museum in Canberra, where they have a collection of the shell of the dinosaur's egg. And then they create the reconstruction how the dinosaur come up from the egg. And the right one is example of the museum souvenir that inspired by the condition in the surrounding of the museum. It's a Catherine Gorge Museum in Kakadu National Park, where we find many what is buaya in English? Many this
crocodile.
Yeah, crocodile. So they create a bottle top, yeah, bottle top as a souvenir. This is a very rare souvenir, so I bought. And this is a example of souvenir developed by my colleague now in Museum UGM. There are many variety of daily object, like this is mask, bag that is decorated with the object we kept in the museum. This is we have a old camera decoration here, and also the butterfly, yeah, butterfly, and then many others like this. This one is a picture of a car, rising car that are created by UGM students. We make the picture, and then this is a hand embroidery kit, yeah. So many product, yeah, we can develop inspired by the museum object. And this type of the product that developed from the museum object not yet developed well by other museum in Yogyakarta. So mostly the decoration is the building, and then the picture of the building is put as a decoration or picture in the T-shirt, or the name of the museum that put on the head. Sometimes it looks difficult to apply this. This is the first time that our colleague tried to apply this idea to produce the object. So this is the first experiment. And for this, if we cannot do it well, actually we can creating with the crafter or with other designer, yeah, that can produce better design. But actually this already sell well too, yeah. This another classic souvenir, yeah, that usually sold in a museum is a mug, pen, fridge magnet, yeah. Some of this type of the museum souvenir also produced by other survey or other people outside of our museum, because it's so easy, yeah, to imitate this. And this is an example of the recent result of object that now kept in museum, and this is become a source of inspiration as souvenir. This is a archaeological found in Tainan, Taiwan, a double-headed jade, and this is a Ling Ling O earring. In the souvenir shop, I found that this type of object either can be reproduced with the material of different material, like from silver or gold, or also from the jade, yeah, but with different size, so that it is not authentic, it's a souvenir. In general, I think if the product is specially designed, tidy, unique, yeah, like the Ling Ling O object like this, we cannot find in other museum, and it's very beautiful, eye-catching. Yeah? Visitor will impress with our museum. But I think also the best impression can also be shaped if we can show that our museum also concerned to green environment. For example, by using natural color and recycled material. This, I feel myself as a visitor when I visit the museum in Art City Museum. They try to show that they concern with an environment by using recycle banner of their activity, of their past activity, to produce as a container like this. Yeah, no one buy this. I ask the seller, the staff, has anyone buy this? It's quite expensive and this is not beautiful, but this give impression that we as a museum staff concerned with the green environment. And also with this, the museum at Siri produced the souvenir with the natural color, and also they use the goni natural fiber as a bag. Yeah, this is very expensive. 500 to 800,000 rupiah for this. No one buy it, but these are is available there, put there, together with other t-shirt, many t-shirt along here that are sell well. And this together with all of other souvenir can give good impression that the museum staff, the manager concerned with the green environment. So for this, maybe the source of income for museum is not the purpose, but this kind of souvenir is good to make a branding for the museum, even city and country. We have experience visit museum shop in Taiwan, where the museum shop is put in the airport, very in a main airport in Taipei. So perhaps Yogyakarta has to have Museum Sono Budoyo and Museum Kepresidenan Corner at the airport, including their best unique product of souvenir, because I think these two museums might represent face of the city of Yogyakarta. Now, after we discuss about what the souvenir shop should be and what variety and strategy how to produce the souvenir product, I will present the adaptation during the COVID-19 pandemic. If we have to create the good environment, very friendly staff and museum shop by visiting the museum, when visitor visiting the museum, all of the space that we provide should be moved to the virtual space during the COVID-19 pandemic. So as part of the museum website, we also have to put every aspect of the museum shop from the variety until the payment to the museum website. And most museum in Yogyakarta has not ready to adapt to that situation. Not all of the museum has capable enough to create the website. So not all the museum has the museum website. So we have some difficulty to adapt to the situation. In the new adaptation period of Yogyakarta, start from end of July 2020, some museum open, but generally visitor number decrease and then influence the museum income. Some museum has website but not active, and staff still have difficulty to do transaction via website. So if they do not sell the product via the website, but they sell via Instagram, and then they transfer the money to the staff. So practically, the situation of COVID-19 pandemic forced us also to not only create the website, but maintain the content. And this is the case of our museum, Museum UGM, Professor Shin Nakagawa-san. If you come to Yogyakarta next year, hope you can visit our museum. Now it's very sad. The cafe is tutup sementara, temporarily closed. And this is our souvenir shop here. Is put here, and now we try to sell the product via the promotion via Instagram. Some museum like Museum Ulan Sentalu, they offer the strategy via phone. So visitor, usually the regular visitor who visit Museum Ulan Sentalu or like the product, especially the product of their designer, is ordered via the phone. And the Museum UGM try to sell the product via Instagram, but other museum just close the shop. and initiate to sell the product by applying personal or relative promotion, such as applied by Museum Avandi Yogyakarta. This is one example of the product by Museum Avandi Yogyakarta, mask with the decoration is inspired by the abstract painting of the Avandi, and they choose to sell this mask by promoting via relative, close friend, like that. So in conclusion, actually museum in Yogyakarta aware that museum shop is one of the media promotion of the museum. Type of the museum souvenir that choose to produce are sell well type souvenir, mostly less focused on the quality. Effort now are focused on the environment and display of museum collection in the museum, so still less energy and funding are directed to develop online promotion via museum souvenir. So with this COVID-19 pandemic situation, we all learn that develop the online information of the museum is very important for us to say to the public that we are exist, that we are available. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Ibu Mahirta, PhD, for the presentation. That was very interesting, especially that you are talking about the museum shop, and it is hardly to be found in Jogja. And it's getting more interesting because our next presenter will be presenting about music and language. So how would it be like? But before that, I would like to introduce our third presenter. Because before we move to the next presenter, I would like to remind you, all the participants and presenters, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to write in the chat room or in the chat box. Or if you would like to raise your hand, you can do that later in the end of the presentation after all the presenters have presented their papers. Well, let's moving on to the next presenter. Our third presenter will be Mas Ovan Bagusjatmika, MSN from Institut Seni Indonesia, Yogyakarta. He is a lecturer in harmony theory, acoustic theory, classical guitar instruments, and basic piano practice at the Music Creation Study Program, Faculty of Performing Arts, Yogyakarta Indonesian Institute of the Arts, or ISI Yogyakarta. And apart from teaching, he is also active in writing books, reading texts, and writing compositions. And today, sorry for my broken voice, and today he will be presenting a paper entitled Music as a Form of a Non-Verbal Language. Mas Ovan Bagusjatmika, the next 25 minutes is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mbak Adia Arsita. Good morning, everyone. I will share my PowerPoint. By the way, can you hear my voice? Is clear? Okay. Today, I will discuss the theoretical problem relating to the question about music and meaning. And I will try to limiting my discussion to the problem of signification. I will try to start from the structuralism perspective, exploring the limitation, and then try to offer another perspective which I borrow from Lacanian psychoanalysis. Okay, the question of whether music has meaning has led to so many discussions involving interdisciplinary studies, and one of them is between the music and language. Since Ferdinand de Saussure, eco-structural linguistics, there have been many attempts to analyze music using a structuralism perspective. But what actually we hear when we listening music is music means something for us, or it's just the combination of sound, which is only the material entity. To talk about this question, I will start from the structuralism perspective. If we're going back to the Saussurean conception about this, the theory of design, we have four basic concept, which is lang and speech, lang and parole, or language and speech, and then signifier and signified, and then syntagmatic and paradigmatic, and the last is synchrony and diachrony. Lang versus speech can be detected easily on the musical object if we understood lang as some abstract system which is beyond the individual ability to change or modify it, and speech is understood as the individual action to execute this abstract system. We can think the same condition in the musical object. For example, if I talking about the tonal system in Western language music, tonal system has a kind of abstract system. For instance, the principle of voice leading, the rule of progression, the rule of chord substitution, and the form, the texture, etc. Under this tonal system, every musician can construct his own style. And this abstract system must be mastered by every musician who want to speak in Western music language. The second concept about dichotomy between syntagmatic and paradigmatic also can be found easily in music. Syntagmatic in language is understood as the horizontal axis, which each element is related in pra-essentia relation. Every element appears after or before the another element of language, just like the process of sentence. Paradigmatic axis can be seen as the vertical axis of language. Each element related with another element in associative chain. For instance, if I say about the car and the motorcycle and the bike, there are three different objects came from the same class of a vehicle. This dichotomy can be found easily in the musical object. For instance, if I sing do re mi fa sol la si do, you can easily think that every element of note is on the pra-essentia relation. Re appear after the do, mi appear after the re, etc., etc. But we also can find the paradigmatic relation in music. For instance, if we talk about the chord progression, we have two different chord quality, for example, between the leading tone chord and the dominant chord. Both of this chord has a function as the pretonic chord, has a dominant function. So in this case, we can say that leading tone chord and the dominant chord has a same function as the dominant chord, as the pretonic chord. Both of them is related in paradigmatic relation. But if we going to the dichotomy between signifier and signified, this concept cannot easily grasp in the musical context. Why? Saussure maintains the concept of difference between signifier and signified, between the acoustic image and the concept. The combination of these two, the signifier and the signified, form what Saussure called as a sign. For Saussure, the character of the signifier and signified is arbitrary. This arbitrary nature of the sign brings the consequences. First, linguistic sign does not refer to the material entity, but to the concept of that entity. And second, the signifier appears only to express and communicate the signified. Therefore, meaning spring from signified to signifier. For instance, if we have sentence, the Genoa to Paris Express, this sentence does not refer to one locomotive and one set of carriage, but to any train located within and defined by certain conditions which make it the Genoa to Paris Express. Thus, the linguistic sign does not simply reflect the reality, but formulates a concept or signified which is itself complexly articulated with a particular sound image or signifier. This kind of signs are not transparent reflection of reference in the real world. But signs, however, representational since they have fixed meaning. Saussure's theory of language relies implicitly on a rationalist theory of meaning and consciousness. It rests on a notion of sign as representing ideas which precede any actual utterance and are consequently timeless and context-free. Within this perspective, we cannot explain what we perceive when we listen to music because there is no signified, as in the Saussurean scheme, which precedes every actual utterance of sound. But as the listener, we perceive something beyond the material aspect, beyond the sound of the music, which feel stronger than just the combination of sound. There is something we call from the game of sound in music. How we can speak about it. Today, I will try to explain this fact by borrowing the Lacan's theory of psychoanalysis. Despite departing from Saussure's idea, Lacan describes the signifier and signified in completely different way. Instead of prioritizing the unity between the signifier and signified, he emphasizes the separation between the two. If unity prioritizes signified, separation gives priority to the signifier over signified. In this scheme, the signifier, that's capital S, is placed above the signifier, the small s. The term above refers to the dividing line which separating these two, a barrier that breaks the signification. If the dominant factor is the dividing line that preventing the unity of the Saussurean sign, then this unity of signification is only an illusion. What creates this illusion is the play of the signifier. The consequence is the signifier is not a representation of signified. Meaning is produced by the signifier. Meaning emerges from signifier, not from signifier. Lacan sees signified as the effect of transference. If we talk about signified, it is only because we believe in its existence. But for the Lacan, even the transference of signified is only possible because of the signifier structure. Signified never appears completely outside language. With the loss of signified, symbolic is not understood as a system of sign, as in Saussurian notation, but as a system of signifier. For Lacan, signified is lost because it is placed outside the symbolic level. Therefore, Lacan's theory of meaning laid out beyond the problem of representationalism. Lacan's approach to the realism of meaning and signification should be read at the three register boundaries, that is imaginary, symbolic, and real. If Lacan separate between signifier and signified, what happened with signified? Signified relates to the external reality, being in the real. But the problem is, this real is a condition that cannot be symbolized, always absent from the level of signification. This absence of signified must be compensated if signification wants to achieve coherence. So the signified appears in the imaginary dimension. However, this transference of signified in the imaginary dimension can only be generated through the play of the signifier. It is here that the third dimension, the symbolic dimension, determines signification. What are the consequences? This makes the signification is always lack, never complete, always out of reach. Moreover, this lack is introduced into the structure of subjectivity following the signifier's rule, following the symbolic norm, following the symbolic order. Therefore, the subject becomes synonymous with lack. Born through the signifier, the subject is born as a divided subject. For instance, if I as subject want to do signification using the language in this sentence, I am lying. What can you tell about me? Am I a liar? Or I tell the truth that I am lying. So here we find two different subjects. The first is the subject of sentence, subject who is appear before the verb, etc., etc. And the second is the speaking subject. This second subject, this speaking subject, is what Lacan called as the unconscious subject. As you can see, when this unconscious subject tries to do identification by the symbolic law, by the signification, this subject becomes divided between the speaking subject and the subject of sentence. So in this condition, from this example, we can say that subjectivity is always lack, where when it tries to do signification using the symbolic law, using the law of language. This lack on the subject precisely that makes the subject do never-ending identification to experience fullness or jouissance that could never be attained. Because the signified is never complete. Sorry, because the signification is never complete. Because the signified cannot be reached. The signified always beyond the symbolization. So the subject from the example before, the subject identifies with the other, do signification following the signifier's rule. But the other is lacking, but the signification is never complete. Unable to offer a stable identity for the subject. Thus the subject is directed to carry something from another register, a quasi-imaginary object, object A. There is the fantasy. Fantasy seeks to restore the fullness of the other, so we believe that we can determine the full subject through signification and identification. Fantasy does this by offering object as a metaphor for our lacking fullness. The object is a link between desire and fruition. So if we see the symbol of fantasy that is between bar S and then diamond and the A. It is not dollar, by the way. It is bar S, the divided subject. Between the divided subject who tried to find the signification, there is a diamond symbol like this. This diamond symbol can be interpreted as the operator, which is can be open and can be closed like this. When we build the fantasy to make we believe that the other, this symbolic register, can give full identity for the subject, we try to close this hole for a while. When this hole is closed, once this hole is open again after for a while has been closed, the subject will try to do identification using another signifier. This fantasy becomes the generator of all social dynamic. Before the desire of the subject is never satisfied, he will do identification again and again from one signifier to another signifier metonymically. Look from this perspective, if we back to the case of music. Music can be seen as a trace of the fantasy. Not only music, but all the art object can be seen as the trace of fantasy. We can also say that fantasy is an imaginary object which is inserted to the signification. For instance, if we hear the Beethoven Symphony, for example, what music we hear is the trace of the imaginary object of Beethoven, which he inserted to the signification register by following the symbolic rule of the Western norm, the concept of harmony, form, orchestration, etc. Furthermore, we as a listener also can build our fantasy using this object of music. As for we know about the what can I say as the cultural capital, the knowledge about the norm of this kind of music. If not, we only can imagine the imaginary object, but we fail to inserting it on the signifying chain. So this fantasy is what we face or maybe communicate when we deal with any system of signifier, not system of sign. So from the psychoanalysis perspective, it is not right to ask what this music means. Because the signifier and the signified relationship are beyond the problematic of representationalism as in the structuralism theory. In this case, what I can say is art, including music, only become a vehicle that will bring us to the endless fantasy, to the gate of the fantasy. That's all my presentation. Thank you. Mbak Ardia Arsita.
Yes, thank you so much, Mas Ovan Bagus Jatmika, for the presentation. So that's how when the language and the music combines or mixed. And for those who are interested and curious to ask questions, please hold on for a little bit more because we still have 2 more presenters. So I have seen that several of you have written your questions in the chat room. Thank you so much, but the answer will be later after all the presentations. And after a great presentation from Mas Ovan Bagus Jatmika, now we are going to the 4th presenter, to Mas Octavianus Cahyono Priyanto, PhD. He is a lecturer in Institut Seni Indonesia Yogyakarta at the Faculty of Fine Arts, Department of Interior Design. And in 2009, he received scholarship for his master and doctoral degree at the School of Architecture, University of Sheffield, United Kingdoms. And he has been involved in several projects ranging from graphic design to architectural projects, and has also won several graphic design contests. And his research interest is in the use of technology to assist design and collaboration process. And today, he will be presenting a very interesting topic, which is entitled as this quite long, and I'm not really familiar with the name of it. So his paper will be entitled as, wait a minute, collecting data through a parametric, I hope I'm saying it correctly, collecting data through a parametric virtual environment platform, digital art or garbage. And I hope this won't be a garbage, or this will be a very high art. So thank you. And the next 25 minutes will be yours.
Right. Thank you, Adia. I would like to check whether my voice is all right there.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, thank you. And now I would like to share my screen. Okay, 1 minute. Yes. Can you see my presentation on your screen? Okay. Once again, thank you for the moderator for letting me do this presentation. And well, first I want to extend my sincere gratitude for Professor Shin Nakagawa and all the involved institutions to keep this forum alive during this, well, during this any condition. Okay. Good morning, my fellow scholars. My name is Octavianus Cahyono Priyanto, and thank you for the introduction. I don't need to read further for my my profile. And without further ado, let's get started. So this is my my presentation this morning. Yeah, collecting data through a parametric virtual environment platform. Well, it's digital art or garbage. It's quite provoking poster I made here at the front, because this is a 2 condition of the data that I got from the experiment I did for my PhD. Okay, but okay, what make me what made me do this title for this presentation? Well, let's let's face it. For many of us, this is our daily life these days, and also not only us, but yeah, the students also in many schools and universities. The Zoom sessions, everyday Zoom sessions in the morning, noon, the afternoon. Even as the officer, the boundary between the office and housework are become second to none, which means nobody cares. I mean that you could have Zoom at the midnight, even early in the morning. And for some of us, it leads to what they call, the researchers say that Zoom fatigue, that you have to do Zoom most of the time, and that this phenomenon let some of us start to think, what is there any other option that we can use to communicate online, to do the online engagement? Well, just several weeks ago, my ex-colleagues, my ex-supervisor sent me a message. Well, this is my ex-supervisor. This is Cheng Zi. Before our meeting a few years ago, he sent me a message that remind me about our previous projects during my PhD that could be found, maybe could be found for the pandemic. Well, he sent me that, have you tried your platform for design teaching during the pandemic? Well, to be honest, I haven't. Why? Well, this platform it's not working anymore. I will tell you why later, but if it's still up and running, I would definitely like to use that in the teaching process. So in this opportunity, I would like to speak a bit about this platform I developed, and whether it's a piece of art or garbage. Not only the platform, but maybe the result that it collected. Okay.
Al-Fatihah ya.
In 2011, we started the project. Yeah. I remember I came up with a simple proposal for my PhD to his office, and he dismissed that. Oh, this is too simple. This is too simple. No. He called me that because it's easier for him to call me that name. Then he challenged me to develop a more complicated platform that involving a lot of scripting to develop an interactive virtual environment. Wow, what is that? I didn't understand that at that time. What was that? Okay. In the process, it nearly killed me, to be honest. And that meeting was the beginning of my arduous journey, a very long journey to get my PhD. Well, since it features some sort of parametric principle, well, sort of, we call it a parametric virtual environment. These pictures show the process. I mean, the tool I use to develop the platform. Well, I used Unity and also Playmaker, since I struggle to work with text and I need to find a visual scripting to do the coding. And yeah, in short, in the development process, we strictly try to make it as affordable as possible and easy to use and easy to learn. Because at the time I was thinking that maybe one day I could teach this to my students. Then after 3.5 years of struggle, I came up with the pilot version that we can test, and it was working. And then after that, we did the data collection and so on. But however, a few years later, after the experiment, well, sadly, the technology that support the platform suddenly swifted. I mean, that's some of them been shut down by the developers, the developer, and it's not possible to run it anymore at this time until maybe we can make a major revision to it. Okay. Well, what is parametric anyway? Parametric design, it derived from the mathematic. No one know when it started to being used. And in interior and building design, all design aspect, the element of this room, for example, it's the aspects and the dimension can be seen as parameters. So, for example, the windows type, the floor size, the ceiling height, the surface color like the wall, it can be seen as a parameter. And parametric design software use procedures to coordinate design components together, whereas any changes initiated by an agent, for example, me do some changes in the software, and it will trigger other corresponding parameters to adjust accordingly. Okay, to start with the development, we created some type of room that we can test, and this virtual environment is we focusing on the visualization aspect, as the visualization is the key aspect for this platform. Visual is a universal language for communication and easy to understand by people for any backgrounds and culture. So we develop a visual interface for the platform and enabling the participant to use and navigate the provided visual elements to express their preferences. Well, okay. Yeah, let us see what I meant by the building. This is the video that I will show. This video I will show is a legacy of the platform when it's still working. Okay, we'll play it. It will be 5 minutes, and along the way I will explain you how does it work. So in this platform, when you start using it, you need to sign in, and then you as the participant, you need to fill in your demography, and then you will be provided with navigation key and instruction, so that you can adjust yourself to make you adapt yourself into the virtual room. And then in this virtual environment, you can also adjust the Windows type that you can change through the slider on the top. And you can still navigate through your keyboard. You can move forward and backward, or rotating, moving around, and so on. At the top, there's some text that will help you to understand how this platform works. Okay. Yeah. In this experiment, our object was a communal learning space. Yeah. So in this experiment, the participants are required to express their preferences of their ideal type of learning space, that anything that they want into their learning space. Well, maybe, yeah. Okay, and this is how the participant can change the color, the shading color, also the wall color and the floors color, so that they can try to build and create their own artifacts, their own proposal for learning spaces. Okay, so I intendedly purposely put some furnitures inside the room so that they can what do you say? They can put their scale so that it will become the comparison between the scale, the human scale, and the
Ranca
furniture,
Indra.
so that it
Berapa?
will keep the
Semua
agent, the
ada
participant as the agent
5.
to correlate themselves with the learning space, the virtual environment. Okay, and for the next next stage, they can also jump forth and back to make some revision if necessary, if it's required. Yeah, when it's done, when they feel satisfied, they feel happy with their choices, they can send the data to an online database. Yeah, so at the end, all of their data, including their demographic data, will be available in an online database. At that time, we used Parse, Parse for data storage, but it's not available anymore, unfortunately. So this creation, which is in virtual environment form in 3D, in 3 dimension, it is stored in that cloud database. Okay, I will move forward. Okay, yeah, and this is where the another survey begin, when the participants required to let the surveyor know whether the platform good enough for them. So this is just a usability test that I conducted after the virtual environment. Okay. Right, and then thank you for participating. Okay, that's it. That's the platform that I developed. Okay, next. Yeah. Well, the challenge. At the time, during the project, we received some dubs due to some limitation of the platform. And also from some traditionalists who believe that direct engagement is the way to go. Well, in some sort, I still believe, I still share with their belief, but the online tool is maybe now is something that we can have to develop more further, more for the future, especially after this situation with the pandemic. And nearly at the same time, the university also held a direct engagement. This is one of the examples that how the my university at that time, how they do it with an offline engagement, a direct engagement. They invite students to get involved in the development of their new building. They held it in a large room where the participants were given the opportunity to give their feedbacks for a range of furnitures that available in that large room. So that's how they do it at that time. Okay. Well, also there were another challenge that we found, that one of it was we did not have the knowledge how, actually me and Jiangxi, we didn't have the knowledge to develop a more sophisticated visualization. So as you said in the previous video, that well, it looks like a game, right? But the quality is not there. I mean, it's not up there with with many of the current, for example, game, commercial game available anywhere. And to make it worse, I personally did not have previous experience at that time in developing the platform. So, yeah, that's the explanation for 9 years of my doing the PhD. Okay, so after what happened after the participants send their data to the cloud database. So this is what we receive when collecting the data. It's all in text. Yeah, it's in JSON format, and we have to convert it into Excel so that it can be readable. Right. Yeah. This is actually the instruction that been given to the student, the participants, when they entering the platform. It's the task is to express your preferences on these following properties. First, they have to choose the windows and the ceiling type. Second, the spatial dimension. And the third is ceiling, wall, and floor color. So whatever they like. And this is the demographic of the participants, which the majority came from Indonesia, which is not surprising, with 135 participants from Indonesia, followed by the United Kingdom, the UK, with 36 participants. Japan, yeah, we got a participant from Japan as well, 11 participants, and 2 from Thailand, and 1 participant from Australia. And from all of the participants, professional designers accounted for about 28% from 180 something. So about 15% of the participants are designers. Okay, let's carry on. Okay, all right. So in short, okay, well, never mind. It's okay. Maybe it's too complicated, but yeah. Well, this is the scheme, how it works, the platform works, and from the start, and how the data will end in the cloud database. And this is where we collected the data from, and then translate it into a readable form of data. Yeah, and from the previous experiment, we got this data. So this is actually the preferred wall color. So dark egg is the most preferred color, and white is the second, and etc. And for the ceiling, white is the most preferred color, and for the floors color, white and charcoal and black are some of the colors preferred by the participants. And this is the windows type, actually the rooms type that preferred by the participants. This is a 67, and the ceiling type, and so on. Okay, so where's the art and garbage? Okay, let me show you. During the data collection on our previous on my previous experiment that we carried out in 2015, we also collected at the same time about 178 digital artifacts. And since we had limited time at that we couldn't evaluate the artifacts furthermore. So last year I had the an opportunities to carry out another research, which is a continuation of the previous research I did. So on the research last year, I recollected all of the artifacts that I got. And this is some of the examples of the artifacts. Yeah, the digital artifacts. Yeah, if you look closely, it's obvious that they have created something. Well, this digital artifact consists of the creator expression of their visual preferences. So this is how they express their preferences in a visual way to solve the given task at the beginning of their journey. Some of them have more vibrancy. Yeah, as you can see that the color is more vibrant, and while others are more subtle. And some of them are white, then have a wide space, and the other narrower. So we receive a lot of variation of visual quality. So how can we determine and separate those artifacts? So it so that we can we can separate them into whether they are organal bits or are they useful or useless. We didn't know at the time. So for this experiment, I used these 3 indicators to determine whether they are organal bits. First, the time span that need to be higher than the average, so that we can separate those who didn't take the experiment seriously. Come on, if you did the experiment only in less than 1 minute, I don't think that's they do it seriously. Okay, and secondly, the question I found in Darsana book, which is say that the arts is diverse of human activities in creating visual, auditory, or performing artworks that expressing the author's imaginative conceptual ideas and technical skills intended to be appreciated for their beauty and emotional power. So the key word here is appreciated and creating something, creating visual. And the third is the Sturgeon law, coined by Theodore Sturgeon, that states that 90% of everything is crap. So I would like to find out how many percent of the artifacts I got is actually useful or appreciated by the judges. And okay, I already passed 25 minutes. Can I carry on a little bit? Hopefully, yeah, a few more.
Okay, yes.
Thank you. So I just asked the judges to separate the images into 3 folders. If they like it, just put in the like folder and the natural and dislike. So what's inside? What can I find? What did I found in the folder? So this is the like folder with the images inside it, and then this is the dislike folder. Okay, there's too small. I know. That's why I zoom it in further and I took some examples. So this is the like artifacts, and this is the dislike one. Okay, are they too small? Okay, let's zoom in again. Okay, this is the like the images liked by the judges. Okay, and this is the Okay, now you can see the difference between the difference, the characteristic difference between them, between these two groups. Okay, the digital artifacts that the judges like are an indication of appreciation of their perceived visual quality. There are actually 20.90% of the 178 images were selected. So it's more than the Sturgeon's law expectation, which is 10%. So at least this platform can be useful to create something that meaningful. But it doesn't mean or it doesn't make them an art anyway at the same time. But they definitely have some sort of aesthetic quality that captivate the judge's eyes. If we consider the quote from Darsono, that's art as a creation and intended for appreciation. In this case, well, they are art and art. But however, another argument may explain that these artifacts are actually the result of a design act rather than creating art. Since the participants here, they were focused on achieving solution based on the given requirement. So maybe not their own way of expression. To make it interesting, well, the experiment found out that 50% of the highest rated artifacts were made by the participant with no design experience. So this is the non-designer and this is the designer. But at the end, they shared 50% each of the highest rated artifacts. And okay, does it mean that the artifact that the judges dislike are garbage? Well, you can tell me, but in general, the artifacts that fall into this category have profound, vibrant colors. Yeah, they are vibrant here. The colors are very, very provoking, and the sense of this connection between color. They definitely being dismissed for communal learning space. So maybe they, for learning space, this is useless. Maybe. But somehow they also show great character that could be useful for other space, maybe like a playground, not a playgroup or something else. And well, even for some people, garbage can be an act of art as well. It is not rare that an artist around the world they utilize garbage for making their statement. Okay, and
excuse me, Mr. Cahyono Priyanto. Okay. Please come to the conclusion. 1 more minute. Thank you.
Okay, 1 more minute. I think it's enough. Okay, you can read it, the results. So the platform is capable to be used by people with different capacities to make an art, for various purposes. It depends on the purposes. When it's online, this platform can also be used as a tool for early years design students for practice, collecting data, and also teaching through online medium. My idea for this current pandemic situation is to encourage students to develop their own tool. Well, our garbage, well, it's up to your interpretation. Okay, domo arigato. Terima kasih.
Okay, well, thank you so much for the presentation. That's quite long but interesting. And all participants and presenters, we will discuss later whether that was garbage or art. We will discuss in our discussion later. Please don't forget to write down your question in the chat room or chat box, and later the presenters will answer or will respond to your questions. So thank you to presenter 1 up to 4, and the last presenter but not least, we are going to have Ibu Yulita Kusumasari MSc, not MR, from Gajah Mada University, and she will be presenting a very interesting paper. The title is Go or Gone, Another Question. Yeah, Bu Yulita Kusumasari, MSc, is a lecturer of Tourism Studies program from the Faculty of Cultural Science, Universitas Gajah Mada, since 2012. And she got her Master of Science degree in Department of Architecture and Planning, Universitas Gajah Mada. And now she is currently teaching tourism planning, sustainable tourism, ecotourism, and contemporary issues in tourism. Also being involved in a tourism master plan project in Morowali in 2016 until 2017. And also working on tourism attraction site design in 2019. And some of her writings have been included in several edited books, such as Mendefinisikan Kolaborasi Kreatif, Dari Ambiguitas Budaya Hingga Rangkaian Tanda, Kelindan Pemikiran Humaniora, and many more. And she also writes for some journals. And for tourism destination in Gunung Sewu Geopark, an analysis of user-generated content presented in the 8th Biennial Conference in 2020. And at this moment, she will be presenting a paper entitled Go or Gone, the existence of hybrid events as part of urban tourism strategy. Ibu Yulita Kusumasari, the next 25 minutes is yours.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Adia. Is everyone can hear my voice clearly?
Yes, it is clear.
Okay, because previously I have a issue with my internet connection, but I hope it will be smoothly. Okay, thank you, Ibu Adia. Allow me to share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen? Yes. Okay. This is my conceptual idea about how hybrid events can be exist in this.
Hello, Ibu Yulita.
Hello, hello, hello. Okay.
Ya,
Halo, halo.
Enggak, terus saja.
Halo.
Iya.
Okay. Can you hear my voice?
Enggak, punya Mbak Adi, Bu Adi aja yang
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is
it yours or is it mine?
Okay. Ibu Mimi, can you
At
hear
this
my
moment,
voice?
yes.
Oh, yes. Okay. Okay.
As well as the screen sharing.
Just keep going. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. This is my conceptual idea about how hybrid events can be accessed in this pandemic situation, as well as the after the COVID-19 situation. So. Let me show you about the general overview about tourism, the COVID-19 impact in Indonesian tourism. This has no direct correlation with the events, but it can be as a basic background for the idea. So during the pandemic situation in 2020, from the April until the October, the foreign tourist arrivals into Indonesia is cumulatively plummet in around 72% from January to October to compare with the previous years. So it's quite a difficult time for the Indonesian tourism since a potential to lose of foreign exchange up to $160 billion US dollar, and this is approximately 100 million tourism workers are at risk of losing their job during this situation. So it's quite difficult for us. So the hybrid events is popularly known, yeah, in this moment, because we are running the events also at the virtual and also everyday meeting, and the events can be held in every city or country. Okay, so what is hybrid events? Hybrid events is a mix between the live and virtual event, and it had been popularly known before the COVID-19 outbreaks actually, but it increased in demand globally during the pandemic situation. Because during the COVID-19 moment, the world are postponed indefinitely. We don't know when will it's over, but the people can't wait to connect. We have to connect. Seems like the perfect time to develop the hybrid concepts. Citating from the Liberato in 2019, what is a relation between the events and music festival or the events in general to urban tourism? So even an music festival in Liberato said that they had significant roles in urban tourism development. In another article, it said that local events influence in the creation, the destination image, and the innovative tourist product. So this is the overview how the events can be have its correlation with the tourism. Let's see what happened in Jogja and Indonesia. So how important is hybrid events for Indonesia, for Jogja also? In fact, that Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy put their hand on hybrid events as a recent strategy. And the government also released a handbook or guide for the clean, health, safety environment for the event industry in September in 2020 to prepare the upcoming events. So the government actually already put their hands and put their overview in these hybrid events. This is a screenshot from many news, yeah, but it is in Bahasa Indonesia. The event pekerja event dapat selenggarakan pertunjukan hybrid, ya, hybrid in the pandemic. This is the last event, yeah, from the Yogyakarta anniversary in virtual running hybrid event, and then events in all the hospitality industry in Hyatt hotels, for example. And this is the famous Jogja Netpark Asian Film Festival, also in a hybrid event. So this is the example how hybrid events has developed during this pandemic situation. So what is urban tourism? Urban tourism is a type of tourism which takes place in an urban space. So urban tourism is unequal with the city tourism. It's different because if we're talking about urban, is not limited by the administration, but it's more like they function in the area, and the urban tourism attributes characterized by non-agricultural based economy such as administration, manufacture, trade, services, and being a model points of transport. It offers a broad and heterogeneous range of cultural, architectural, technological, social, natural experiences, and product for leisure and business. Okay, this is the basic system of tourism. It sounds classic, but it helped us to construct the idea about the events and the urban tourism. So adapting from the labor in 1919, yeah. This is the basic diagram, the basic scheme of the tourism. So when travelers are moving from the generating region to the destination region with all of the motivation, with the personal motivation. So the motivation, it could be the attraction, like a cultural or sport or leisure or visiting friends and relatives, business, is all depend on the motivation of the traveler. So the tourist destination region is produce an attraction that attract the motivation, the traveler motivation. So after visiting the tourist destination region, they come back to the origin place with their experience, with satisfaction, with their story within the tourist destination region. And they will talk about it in the origin place, in the home, talk about it to their friends, or they post in social media, or they text or comment in someone else post maybe about picture and about the destination. So it's move again. It make our another people want to visit the destination. So it's move. It's like a circle. Okay. And there's two types of motivational factor of tourism. The first one is about emotional, and the second one is about personal development, including they want to learn and they want to gain the new knowledge. So this is the basic concept. And yeah, just every event always have purpose in tourism. I said no. The purpose of events may vary. However, its existence still could be a reason for people to travel. Some of or all the travel process can be regarded as a part of urban tourism. For example, how they move, it's about the transportation. Where they came, it's about the main gateway. Where did they sleep? Where did they stay? It's about accommodation. And about F&B, food and beverage. And during the free time, they will visit tourist attraction, or maybe they want to bring something to the origin. So they will go into souvenir shops. So I'll show you about the diagram, how it connects. So the yellow circle is reflection on the first level. It's like the direct connection between the events and the supporting institution or supporting things other in surrounding the events. For example, the accommodation, the event organizer, and then the goods and services supplier, the attendee or the visitor, a travel agency, the venue, tourism, souvenir production, F&B, tourist destination, and local transportation. This is the first level. What is the first level? What is the first level? I mean, this is have a direct connection with the events itself. So what is the second connection is not always have the direct connection, but it support the stakeholders or the first level of connection, like the hospitality workers, the professional in event management, the equipment, the family, the friends, the relatives of the visitor, maybe, the shops, the tourism amenities organizer, tourism operator organizer, and the tourism facilities organizer. So this is the second level. This is the second level. Okay. According from the book of Ritzer, the famous book about the globalization. So it states that tourism is part of globalization. So the character of the globalization is there's a change of or transformation of the form of the tourism. And there are three general patterns about the transformation. The first one, see, everything is become homogeneous globally. It looks same. The clothes, maybe the music, what people like K-pop maybe, yeah, and or at the same time it's become more heterogeneous in one place, in the same place, like we said in Jogja or maybe in Japan or maybe in Jakarta. In Jogja, we all see the Korean food, we see the Western food, so it becomes more heterogeneous. And the third one is about the hybrid. The hybrid is the new concept that created from the past form, and it influenced by four things, four aspects. First is about the people. Who's the agent of the transformation? Who's the driver? And who's the target? Who's consumed this form? And the second one is about institution. What the roles of the institution? How it support the transformation? The third one is about environment. What in surrounding of the transformation? How the transfer and how the transfer knowledge and the value? Who's the strong? Who's the weak? And the number 4 is about technology. How the process can support this transformation. This is the idea that I take to see about what happened in hybrid events in Jogja. So this is some of hybrid events in Yogyakarta that I found in 2020. In not all of the events, I take just some of them. Yeah, if you're searching or browsing during the internet, you will find more events. So, for example, Jogja Festival Forum Expo and the Art Jog 2020 Resiliency. Maybe you're already familiar with that. Jogja Run and Good Vibes Festival, and also the small event conducted by a local community, like the virtual tour. In this paper, I took the example in Ngelanggeran village and Jurang Jero Jeep Trail virtual tour. And also Jogjanet Park Film Festival, Prominent Jazz, Ngayog Jazz, and many meeting, incentive, conference, and exhibition in many hotels. So this is the first, yeah. This is not a case study by events, but I'm trying to capture it from the perspective. The first one is perspective from the creative community. So we understand that the creative community is like the soul of Jogja and maybe another city. They produce a lot of events, creative events, and it's become an attraction for some people. So the art jog is mainly focused on an art exhibition, not for tourism. And it live exhibition and combined with online exhibition. And it has a strict CHSA regulation. I mean the health protocol regulation. And the events mainly held by art community, and they have a strong networking, and it's supported by government and local and international artists, and also company and industry. This is a super prestigious annual event since 2012 maybe. The visitor usually came from various geographic areas within Indonesia or as well as the outside Indonesia. They sell audiovisual souvenirs to support the financial from on the audiovisual website and small shop on the spot. According to the user comment on the social media, I'm trying to look at the people, how the attendee comment. The travelers enthusiasts from outside the city were very limited and hindered by the travel restriction. So people want to come, but they cannot because the travel restriction. So the second one is about the virtual tour. This is a perspective from the local management of tourism destination. This is one about the Ngelanggeran. This one I'm not involved in this virtual tour, but I see it from YouTube. So it located in the rural area, but still close to the urban tourists, because it can be accessed by private or public transport from the center of the Yogyakarta. The community be able to help the event only with the support by NGOs or non-profit organization, supporting by academic institution, and support by local government. This manually online ticket, it's I mean that the ticket they sold online, and people can pay by bank transfer and manual confirmation through a chat application like WhatsApp. It uses many kind of application like Zoom, Lapentor, or Google Meet, or anything else. And usually the technology was provided by the partner organization, not by the local management. From my point of view, for the point of view of this research, this is unsustainable tourism for the destination management, since they pay for the ticket only once and it uploaded in YouTube. How about the final source for the management for the extent? How about the tourism activities? So I say that this is unsustainable strategy. How about the perspective from the hospital industry? How about the conventional versus the hybrid MICE events in business hotels? According to the interview with the Indonesian Association of Hotel and Restaurants, PHRI in Bahasa Indonesia, MICE support 30 and 40% of hotel revenue. It's excluding the room booked by meeting attendance, so it could be more if there are MICE about the revenue. But after the COVID-19 outbreaks, almost all the upcoming events were canceled. So this is a big problem for them. In hotel industry, there are strict health protocol, and it's result in loss in job opportunity. They said about the unpaid leave for the temporary hotel staff. It's like you did not work anymore in hotel, but you cannot work in other sector. If they have event, you will call again and just paid only for one project. Okay, and what is the unique selling point? The positive result from the suburban accommodation, such resort boutique hotels, the which larger space to conduct outdoor meetings. They have the strong in that. So what is the advantages and disadvantages about the conduct the hybrid events during the COVID-19 pandemic? But the advantages, it actually breaking the borders. It reach a larger audience. It is widening the space. For example, people can see your event, can watch your event, or can attend your event by social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, etc. And you can post it through the online media. It recorded. You can reuse the content for the long-term promotion. It's widening the space, widening the borders. It means that sharing information and transfer knowledge, especially for the Gen Y, the millennial Gen, and the Gen Z, because they are the future consumers. They are the future tourists. It's accessible about the finance, the distance, and the time. You have no time for travel, but you can see the event in another part of the world just by open your laptop, your computer, your gadget, and you can watch it through in the real time. How about the disadvantages? The first one is about the very limited attendee, but the cost is the same high for the event management. Why? Because they need more space for the small scale events because of the health protocol. It result in the less multiplier economic impact for local and other supporting tourism sector. How about the supporting small or micro production? The second one is about require knowledge to operate the high technology. In application, it needs internet network, it needs human resources, and hybrid events only focus on the purpose of the event. The event cannot play as well as as a part of urban tourism attraction, supporting for urban tourism attraction. Unsuitable with the concept movement in tourism. Like I said before, that tourism concept is about the movement of people, a traveler from the origin to the generation, to the destination. Okay, it's very limited potential consumer. In tourism, it called as a potential tourist. It is lack on in-person experience. So you only have the experience by your screen, not real interaction. So what is the pattern that I found about the hybrid events in tourism perspective? The first pattern is about strong versus the weak, short versus long term, and direct or indirect pattern. So this is the explanation. Each community have the equal opportunity to develop hybrid events. Even though the community is weak, like a local community, local community is considered to have weakness in human resource and skill and knowledge actually. They have the opportunity, the same opportunity like the strong community. Although some needs more support, they need more support. But actually, this moment is a good opportunity, and this is the path for them to improve the knowledge and the skill significantly because they got support from other community, academician, industry, big industry, and non-profit organization. This is the perfect time to improve the skill and the knowledge. And still, even though the virtual events affect the development of urban tourism indirect, I mean, this is for the long term. We cannot say that it's directly improve the economic condition and from the tourism perspective, but for the promotion of the tourism destination, yes, it can be very useful. It's benefit more in the future development of tourism destination. How about another pattern? So this is what I found. This is a temporary survival strategy. However, it is good to maintain for supporting the future concept of the development, the multiplier effect. The survival strategy in tourism, we call it as a crisis management strategy. This is a part of the resilience. So from the hospitality and the events perspective, the limitation in space is the main problem. It produces an unbalanced scale and the high cost from an event they conduct. So maybe after the pandemic situation, it will be back in the normal condition, but if the hybrid event can still be conducted, it will be more benefit, it will be more great. And it could be developed after the pandemic, only after the pandemic situation. So that the two patterns that I found from the research. So I hope that it could be developed more during the research and after the pandemic situation, maybe I hope it will be good, it will be better. And that's it. Any suggestion and any comment for my preliminary research will be very helpful for my next development of my research. Thank you so much. I'll give it back to the MC, Ibu Adia.
Thank you so much, Ibu Yulita Kusumasari, for the presentation. It's very interesting as well, because you talked about the tourism and how it is actually different from the urban tourism and city tourism. And well, ladies and gentlemen, all participants, that's the end of the presentation from our 5 presenters today, which are really excellent, very insightful, and how they are so eager in sharing their thoughts and idea. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's please give a big applause to all of them. You can just clap your hands or use the reaction. Thank you so much to Professor Shin Nakagawa, to Ibu Mahirta, Ibu Yulita Kusumasari, Bapak Ovan, and Bapak Octavianus. But however, we still have a question and answer session. We will have around 20 up to 30 minutes for the QA. And I already made a note for the questions, and I'm going to read for the first question. While we are waiting for the other questions from other participants, please do not hesitate to write your questions in the chat room, or in case you would like to raise your hand and ask directly, that will be just fine as well. Okay, the first question is from Ibu Mimi Savitri, and the question is addressed to Professor Shin Nakagawa. Professor Nakagawa, Ibu Mimi is wondering, how is the performing arts in rituals overcome the pandemic in Japan? As we know that the ritual was used to get rid of pandemic and bad things. Time is yours.
Yes. As I mentioned in my presentation, the performing arts failed to demonstrate their original meaning in the context of the pandemic. The original meaning is the safety of people and society, and comforting the souls of those who have died. It is a great pity. In fact, 10 years ago, there was a great tsunami disaster in Japan. Maybe the performing arts played a very important role in that disaster to overcome or to recover. The performing arts comforted and encouraged and brought people together. But unfortunately, in the case of COVID-19, the performing arts did not play an active role because they were denied the ability to bring people together. But I don't see this situation as a negative thing. We were able to rethink or reconstruct the role of the performing arts. So we came up with a new form of performing arts. So this is my answer.
Okay, thank you so much for your response. I hope Ibu Mimi is satisfied, or probably you would like to extend your question. Okay, yeah, I think that's good enough. Thank you, Professor Nakagawa. And let's go to the next question. The next question is addressed to Ibu Mahirta, PhD. This is from Ibu Dona Hapsari. I will just read it. Selamat siang, Ibu. It's great to see you again. And thank you for the interesting topic of your discussion. And she would like to give you a question concerning about her interest on the museum souvenir shop. Once Ibu Dona visited a museum, and the souvenir shop has really caught her interest, and the impression was reflected by the exterior appearance of the souvenir shop, and secondly, the display. And usually after seeing those things, she would like to buy the collection that identifies the peculiarities of their product, especially about the museum itself. So the question is this, Ibu Mahirta, during this pandemic, are there any special programs and strategies carried out by the museum for museum souvenir shops, especially in Yogyakarta, to survive and to maintain the uniqueness of their selling items? Thank you. Time is yours, Ibu Mayurta.
Yes. Thank you, Mbak Adia. Yeah, as we know that during the COVID, some of the museum are in a wobbly steps to move, yeah, to move and to blend together from the already good things that we have, and then move it to virtual world, yeah. So last year, Barahmus, Badan Musyawarah Museum, Association of Museum in Yogyakarta, ran a workshop how to make a website. So most of the museum staff in Yogyakarta cannot make, or they just know the website, or maybe they do not have enough support financially to make a website. So we ran a short course workshop to make a website. And the next our plan is should be vice versa. Yeah? We will run a workshop how to make how to develop a product from the museum object for souvenirs. I think in the next few months with our colleague Satyadi, we will run that kind of workshop so that before we display in a virtual room kind of many things of our souvenir, we have to produce the more qualified object souvenir first. That's our strategy. Yes, thank you, Mbak Adia. That's my answer.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Mayurta, for responding. Still, a question to you, Ibu Mayurta. There is a question from Pak atau Mas Dodi Wiranto. He would like to know about Sangiran Museum. He would like to know, is there any signs, code, or rules to distinguish the real collection with replica or duplicate souvenir? Please respond to that question. Thank you, Ibu Mayurta.
Thank you. Thank you, Mas Dodi, for the question. The rule to make a replica is actually put in the Indonesian Law of Heritage, Undang-Undang Nomor 11 tahun 2010, ya, atau 2011 nomor 11, saya agak lupa. Jadi 2010 atau 2011 itu Undang-Undang tentang Cagar Budaya. Di situ disebutkan bahwa jika objek yang akan dibuat replikanya itu merupakan heritage menurut signifikansi tingkatannya or different significance, ya. If the object have a significant nationally, to make a replica we have to ask permission from the ministry if it heritage. Yeah, so for the museum staff, we have to obey that rule. And the second thing that we have to obey is, if we make a replica, we cannot produce it very similar. Yeah, so like the model that applied by British Museum, if they make replica, they make it smaller and or make from different material. So it purposely not to make the same with the real. And there is should be information like a name tag, yeah, that explain that the replica is like replica of certain object that we have in the museum. So is, I think, the rule. And the last question is how to differentiate between real and replica. As archaeologists, we learn how to describe heritage or object if it's heritage. Yeah. Firstly, we can identify macroscopically. That is through the style or every characteristic that we can see with our eye. And the second way is, if we are not satisfied with what we identify macroscopically, we can use the microscopic way. For example, we can use PXRF so that we know exactly what is the difference between the real and the replica material. That's my question, my answer. Thank you. Excuse me, no voice.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Ibu Mahirta, for responding to those questions. And let's go back to Professor Shin Nakagawa. There is another question for you from Mr. Raharja. He is from ISI Yogyakarta, and he would like to send the warmest regard to Miwasang, Sapumasang, and all Margosari's Gamelan members. He would like to know that during this pandemic, such as the Margosari Gamelan group in Osaka, Dharma Budaya, and other Gamelan group which are still doing their usual activities. Related to this pandemic situation, are there any specific regulations to all gamelan group? And do they play some sacred gamelan music? And does it work in the situation? So there are three questions altogether. Time is yours, Professor Nakagawa.
Yes, thank you, Master Harjo, and thanks for your question. Yeah, really, there are several gamelan groups in Osaka and Kyoto, but there is no common regulation regarding this COVID-19. So I will talk about my group, my Margasari's response. There are city lockdowns under COVID-19 2 times in Japan last year and this year, but we did not stop rehearsal, we did not stop Latihan. We felt that we should not interrupt because art and music present or propose our way of life and our approach to perception. In this dangerous situation, we have to transmit or continue or transmit new ways. Master Harjo, do you remember after the great earthquake attacked Yogyakarta in 2006, I asked Master Harjo to compose the gamelan piece, which tells about earthquake and consoles the spirits of the dead. Do you remember?
Yes, I remember that, sir.
So in the dangerous or emergent situation, we have to do something which we can. So of course, so I go back to the COVID situation. Of course, when we practice, we take all possible precautions, such as wearing mask and washing our hands. With this idea in mind, we conducted many performances in response to the pandemic. Let me introduce one example. So this is a collaboration with the residents of a depopulated area. As the residents could not get together much for COVID-19, so we edited everyday scenes taken by iPhones in each household and showed this movie on an outdoor screen. Background music is gamelan. If you permit, I would like to show the 1-2 minutes video. Okay. Okay, or
it's okay. Sure.
Okay. Time is limited, so only 1-2 minutes. So I will show you the video.
変と。で、子供らはいっぱい体中に飾りをつけてくれて、ほんま、着せ替え人形とちゃうんやけどな。でも、子供らもなかなか鋭いで。自分の手を握ったら幸せになれるとか、頭の髪の毛からハッピービームが出てるとか、ちゃんとお見通しや。うりちゃんっていう名前ももろたわ。ほんま、この子らが大好きになってきたわ。
上手にて、あれやねんな、友達ちゃうねんな。知り合い。知り合い。
Thank you. This is our video. So we tried such activities with people to how to. We could not overcome the COVID situation, but how we could coexist with this situation. So with all the cultural activity. So thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the response. I hope Pak Raharja is satisfied with the response.
Yeah, thank you very much for the answer, Pak Shin. Yeah. So the video reminds me to the gamelan picnic long time ago. Yeah, I hope that this pandemic will end very soon so that we can meet again. Thank you, Pak Shin. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for the question, Pak Raharja. By the way, Pak Raharja still has one question. I think somebody is turning on the microphone. Okay, so yeah, Pak Raharja still has one more question, which is addressed to Ibu Mahirta. Ibu Mahirta, Pak Raharja's question is, he notices that the museum in Jogja has a yearly program to invite all primary school students or higher to come to visit the museum. He would like to ask because he heard an issue that most of the Sono Budoyo's visitors, for instance, are outside from Jogja, so not from Jogja. Is that true, Ibu Mahirta?
Thank you for the question. I think the person should answer this question is a Museum Sono Budoyo staff. But I have a chance to chat with my colleague, Pak Eri Sustiadi, who is working at Sono Budoyo Museum. He said that the elementary school visiting program is run by Dinas Kebudayaan, so it's usually run yearly. Yeah, so it's available. And it's true also that many visitors of Sono Budoyo come from outside of Yogyakarta. But for the special exhibition, there is also many visitors from inside Yogyakarta itself. Yes.
Okay, so thank you for the response. So basically, there is a yearly program for all schools.
For elementary school.
All the elementary schools. Okay.
That's what Iris Sustiadi answer, yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much for the response. And there are still more questions to, okay, this time the question is from Ibu Ormba Isma Hidayati, and this is addressed to Ibu Yulita Kusumasari. How about Jakarta Net Festival? Is that also a hybrid event?
Well, thank you. Pardon me because the back sound is done. I hope you can hear my voice clear. Well, actually, Ibu Isma, I'm not sure about the Jakarta Night Festival since I'm not using it as the information and data for my research. But as far as I understand, the last Jakarta Night Festival were held in 2019. And in my research, I limit the event that held in 2020. But actually, the term of hybrid in my research is also limited by the virtual and the live event. So if you reverse to the theory about the hybrid concept, actually you can find your own definition for the hybrid itself, because it is about the transformation. Maybe it's not about the virtual or the live events. Maybe you can find another concept. Maybe you can find another transformation model. So that's my answer about the Jakarta Night Festival. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Bu Yulia, for the response. And this is a personal question from Ibu Sylvia. The question is addressed to Pak Ovan Bagus. Is there a practical example from your explanation, from your presentation? Pak Ovan Bagus, time is yours.
Okay, I will show you the example, a piece of composition by Chopin. Can you hear the voice? Oh, sorry.
Okay, so Pak Ovan, how do you relate this example to the explanation?
Yes, I will take the example from the beginning of this pieces. This begin lento and mezza voce. Or before I start to explain this, maybe all of us can imagine something when we hear this piece of music. I don't know what you can imagine. I imagine something like a melancholy or experience of loss or something like that. Now, I will try to give example how my fantasy is building related to this object of music. As I said before, fantasy is the object, is the imaginary object which we inserting to the signification level. To be able to do this, we have to know about the information related to the history, the norm, the language, the rule about what we hear. So I can say like this. This piece begins with a lento and mezza voce. In the first bar, the theme or the subject of this piece is broken and discontinuous. I also detect the polyphony of genre. There is a march, there is a choral style, there is an Italian operatic sound, and also the excessive appoggiatura and ornamentation that mix together into one texture. So by this information, I can relate to that there is a paradox condition in the opening section. The musical subject is fragile, while its surrounding sound are ponderous and hard. So I can build a kind of fantasy like this is a melancholy mix along with a latent of aggression. This kind of fantasy only can build if I know the rule of what I heard from this thesis. If not, I only can imagine it in an imaginary register. That's my answer for Bu Sylvia. Back to MC.
Thank you so much, Pak Ovan Bagus, and very interesting example as well. And I found another question here, personally sent to me from Ibu Sylvia as well to Bapak Octavianus. The question is, since you have worked on your previous project and that you said you haven't finished it, what is your next project then? Pak Cahyono Priyanto, time is yours.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the question. Well, for my next project, well, I will try. Actually, first is to transfer the knowledge to students, and maybe from there we can try to develop a platform based on the collaboration between the users and the designers, and that by involving the students, I believe there will be a lot of idea that we can gather from them. Yeah, but unfortunately, and until now, the platform and the technology behind the virtual environment is still it's not working as I expected. So we need to find first. I need to find a more stable supporting technology that can support the further development. Yeah, I think that's my answer. I hope it's you can accept that.
Okay, thank you so much for your response, Pak Cahyono Priyanto. Well, there is one last question because we are approaching to 12, which there are still more to come after this Q&A session. Okay, the last question comes from Mas Rucita Rahma, our presenter yesterday. His question is addressed to Ibu Yulita. Ibu Yulita, what do you think about the contribution of such adaptation and new pattern of online tourism attractions as something that can contribute to overcoming global climate change issue? Time is yours, Ibu Yulita.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Adia and Mas Awang. That's very difficult question, actually. Yeah, that's not a short question. Yeah, short but very difficult question. We all understand. I mean that since you're teaching and I teaching about the sustainable tourism, we all understand that environment dimension and the economic dimension is very difficult to go hand in hand. It's like the opposite. So it's very difficult to say that the economic sustainability will also have the direct correlation with the environment sustainability. But still, if it is the pattern that the hybrid events can reduce the travel, but it's not good answer for the economic things. So maybe the pattern about the events is always, it has to accompany with the others urban tourism strategy that more familiar or more close to the sustainable tourism. That's my answer. Thank you, Ibu Adia.
Thank you so much. Well, everyone, our presenters today have presented very interesting, fascinating, and however, their presentations make us more curious about this pandemic, how to overcome this pandemic through art and cultural traits. And since we are running out of time, there is one question from me to all of you, the presenters, how to find endurance during this pandemic to maintain the art and the culture. Maybe you would like to answer one by one, or just some of you. Professor Nakagawa?
Oh, thank you so much. As I told you, I told you that so it is very difficult to overcome COVID-19 with cultural activities, but we can find a way to coexist with this new normal, also new situation. And so we have many, of course, we can have many ideas to coexist with this situation. So we can make efforts, make efforts. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And how about the other presenters? Would you like to also respond how to find endurance during this pandemic situation? Maybe Bu Mahirta?
Yes, thank you. I think we have to adapt. Yeah, we have to adapt. Some can only adapt slowly, some can adapt more aggressively. But we have to adapt to this new situation.
Yeah, we have to adapt. Thank you so much. How about you, Ibu Yulita? How to find endurance?
Yeah, thank you, Bu Adia. I think I'm agree about the statement of Ibu Mahirta and Prof. Nakagawa. So this is a very difficult time, and we cannot put it anything in the ideal condition. But yes, it will be better soon, I hope, and we will try so hard to the next and the future development. Thank you.
Thank you. And how about you, Pak Cahyono Priyanto?
Well, I think we can use art and culture to actually to try to forget that we're actually in this pandemic condition. Psychologically, if we can entertain ourselves and make ourselves happy and forget about this situation, this difficult situation, that I think it will help us a lot to get through this pandemic.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and our last presenter, Pak Ovan. How will you find endurance?
Yeah, all answer already there, but related to my idea, I would like to say that COVID has pushed us in a positive way to think more creatively, to build more imagination. And I hope after this condition, we can realize all of we do now, which is limited by certain conditions. That's all I can say.
Thank you so much. Very interesting response. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today, for the last day of the URP, 18 URP 2021. Very challenging presentation, very challenging questions, and we are all asked and challenged, how should we overcome this pandemic by ourselves? Maybe for those artists, you as artists, please keep productive, please stay productive and positive, and then that's how we will find entertainment, make ourselves happy. And I am Adi Arsita, would like to truly thank you and appreciate to all the presenters, Professor Shin Nakagawa, Mas Ovan Bagusjatmika, Ibu Mahirta PhD, Ibu Yulita Kusumasari, Bapak Cahyono Priyanto. Thank you so much for your insightful presentations. And I would like to apologize if in delivering this moderating session, I have made flaws and mistakes. And hopefully everything was still enjoyable and interesting to learn for today. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. And I'm going to give the time back to the Master of Ceremony, Hening Tias Widowati. Time is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mbak Adia, for leading the session very smoothly. Okay, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I think it is good for us now to cool the temperature down by enjoying a string ensemble performance by Music Performance Study Program of Performing Art Faculty of ISI Yogyakarta. They will perform a composition, a music piece by Peter Warlock. He is a British well-known composer and also music critics. And what is interesting about this piece is that it is a result of Warlock's exploration to 6 different Renaissance dances. So I bet it's going to be very interesting from dances to music. Ladies and gentlemen, Capriole Suite. Sorry, it seems that we have technical problem here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are truly sorry that we cannot continue the performance because the technical problem, we are still trying to fix it out. So stepping on the next agenda, it is an honor for us to have the Vice Rector for Academic Affairs of Institut Seni Indonesia Yogyakarta to deliver his closing speech. Kindly be invited, Dr. St. Hanggar Budi Prasetyo, MSI.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Om Swastiastu. His Excellencies, Vice Dean of Faculty of Cultural Sciences, Universitas Gadjah Mada, Professor Shin Nakagawa, respective lecturers, invited speakers, participants of the 18th Urban Research Plaza Forum 2021, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Institut Seni Indonesia Yogyakarta, allow me to express our profound gratitude and sincere appreciation for having been granted to greet all participants of the 18th Urban Research Plaza Forum 2021. Although it should be carried out in a virtual mode, I do believe it has brought positive reinforcements and fruitful benefit for all participants. The theme of our forum, exchange the information, idea, and methodology for overcoming current COVID-19 conditions through arts and culture, has been explored, discussed, and deeply analyzed through various approaches delivered by urban researchers, lecturers, experts, and academicians of 3 universities. The forum has gained similar responses to issues of global pandemic, which result to contribution on the most acceptable ways as the solution. Through arts and culture sectors, it is believed that arts and culture play a pivotal position to control and minimize the impact of the pandemic. Art and culture are said to become the essential point in helping people during the lockdown and confinement. Furthermore, by taking this theme, the forum is engaged with several issues on exchange information, ideas, methodology in the sector of arts and culture overcome in current COVID-19 pandemic. This is an important step to learn and understand how arts and culture can provide a significant contribution to assist people overcoming the impact of the global pandemic. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, finally, on behalf of Institut Seni Indonesia Yogyakarta, I would like to convey my sincere gratitude to the URP Urban Research Plaza of Osaka University and Universitas Gadjah Mada and all the people who have made this forum not only possible, but manifestly successful experience. And deepest appreciation goes to Professor Shin Nakagawa, Faculty of Cultural Sciences, Universitas Gadjah Mada, speakers, participants, and all committees of this forum who have actively contributed their knowledge, skills, and commitment to make this program successfully. Hopefully, the outcome of this program will be beneficial for all parties and strengthen the academic relationship years to come. And I would like to declare that 18th Urban Research Plaza Forum is officially laws. Hopes next year we will be hosting the URP seminar in a good situation and condition. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Santi 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 Om. Arigato gozaimasu.
Terima kasih Pak Hanggar.
Thank you.
Ladies,
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now come to the end of our two-day program. However, please stay because I am sure that you do not want to miss the photo session. But for now, let me close first this seminar. On the behalf of the host and also the committee, I would like to extend our deepest appreciation for your participation and also support to this program. We wish you a safe journey back home. Okay, now we are going to have what we have been waiting for from this morning, the photo session. Ibu Sylvie Purba will lead this session. First of all, let me ask you to please put your video on, set your video on, and then for those who wear mask, please put it off so that we can see your beautiful and handsome faces. Ibu Sylvia.
Have we started?
Still waiting.
I'm still waiting.
Still
or is it
waiting
done?
for what?
Okay.
I think it's done.
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
done. Ya, terima kasih semuanya Pak Shin, teman-teman UGM, terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih semuanya. Selamat siang.